Today, I want to take you to a different place. When we think of history, the first things that usually come to mind are great events, famous figures, and ancient monuments. Religion, science, philosophy, these are subjects that make us think and spark curiosity. But sometimes we forget that history is not only found in books. Sometimes, history is deeply connected to our own lives. For example, the day we were born. That day may seem like an ordinary date on a calendar, but for us, it is the moment when everything began. And no one will ever know it as precisely as we do. Perhaps your name will never be written in the pages of history. Perhaps no statue will ever be built in your honor. But does that make your life any less valuable? No, because we are the ones living this life. We are the ones making choices, making mistakes, feeling regret, and standing back up again. All those great figures whose names we know today were once just ordinary people like us. They had fears. They had doubts. They had nights when they were alone with unanswered questions. None of them knew their names would one day be written into history. They simply lived the way they knew how. And one day, perhaps we too will become one of them. For others, or maybe only for ourselves. But there is one question that silences us all, a question we all face sooner or later. What happens after we die? Does everything end? Do we continue to live on in memories, in people, in the lives we touched? Perhaps what we call history is nothing more than the silent traces we leave behind. We open our eyes to this world, and we live according to how we come to understand it. Throughout our lives, we experience every emotion: joy, fear, hope, regret, love, loss. These emotions are what shape us, what make us grow. They are what turn us into who we are. To some, these feelings may seem like a punishment, to others, a blessing. But they are what make us human. And when the time comes at the very end of the life we have lived, we encounter one final, unique feeling: death. But for me, death is not the end. Death is a feeling, a beginning. Like every other emotion we experience in this life, it waits inside the body for its moment to arrive. The feeling I call death simply reveals the body's final form. The body stops, but not everything ends, because the body is only a vessel, and the soul is not something trapped inside it. The moment the body stops, the soul is freed, weightless, painless, beyond time. Perhaps death is not frightening. Perhaps what is truly frightening is living without ever understanding it. And so, we arrive at the central question: what happens after death? This question has intrigued humanity for centuries. From biological, religious, spiritual, and scientific perspectives, countless theories and studies have explored it. The truth is, no one has definitively answered this question, which is precisely why it continues to be studied. Human beings are driven by the desire to discover the unknown. Some believe that one day the secret of immortality will be uncovered. Others think that immortality may not even exist in this world, that it might be a door opened by death itself. Yet there is a deeper, more profound aspect here. The actions we take in life determine which door we will pass through. That door may lead us toward the light, or the opposite. This is the struggle each person faces with themselves. If we call it an uncertainty, then we will believe in whatever we choose in the face of this unknown. But setting aside beliefs, let us focus on at least one truth we do know. What happens to the body after death? Death is the moment when the physical body we inhabit can no longer function to sustain life. The final breath is taken. The heart stops beating. Brain activity ceases. The kidneys, liver, and other vital organs lose function. All the systems these organs control come to a halt, and the processes we call living no longer continue. However, death is not a single instant. It is a process. Thinking of it not as a singular event, but as a series of consecutive changes helps us understand how the body transitions between life and death. From the first breath to the last, our existence depends on the processes initiated by the body. And death is the body's final major process for us. As we reflect on death, one question inevitably arises: what might consciousness perceive or feel once the body has stopped? One of the most notable scientific studies on this is the AWARE study, Awareness During Resuscitation. Its results were published in 2014 by Dr. Sam Parnia, a professor and resuscitation specialist at New York University. What makes this study remarkable is its rigorous scientific protocol and hospital setting. approaching the subject not as mysticism, but as science. The study aimed to determine whether consciousness could function independently of the body in people whose hearts had stopped, technically dead patients. To do this, hidden images and numbers were placed on the ceilings of hospital resuscitation rooms, visible only from above. If a patient's consciousness separated from the body and observed the room from above, they should have been able to see these images. Key findings. Continuation of consciousness. About 40% of patients whose hearts stopped reported experiencing awareness during death. Perception of time. Many described time either stopping or speeding up, and a profound sense of peace. Striking case. A 57-year-old social worker reported observing her body and the actions of medical staff from the corner of the room during clinical death. She even described the sounds of medical devices and the exact movements of the doctors, second by second. Dr. Parnia noted that these events were reported to occur 3 minutes after brain activity had ceased, whereas normal consciousness should fade 20 to 30 seconds after brain activity stops. Scientific and philosophical significance. This study raises two major questions. 1. How can consciousness function after the brain has shut down? If the brain is like a computer and its power is cut, how can the program, consciousness, continue to operate? 2. Quantum consciousness hypothesis. Dr. Parnia and some physicists, such as Roger Penrose, have suggested that consciousness may not be produced by the brain, but merely broadcast through it, like radio waves that persist in the air even when the radio is turned off. Conclusion of the study. Dr. Parnia famously stated, "Death is not a moment, but a reversible process." We still do not fully understand why consciousness does not immediately cease after the body dies. This idea resonates scientifically, philosophically, and spiritually. Death may sometimes not be an end at all, but a moment where consciousness continues in a different way. How long does dying take? When this question is asked, most people expect a single, clear answer. But the truth is, there is no exact answer. Because death does not come the same way for everyone. Every body has a different strength, every life carries a different weight, and every human story is unique. Sometimes, death arrives suddenly. It comes without warning. In cases like untreated sudden cardiac arrest, a person can say goodbye to life within minutes. Everything stops at once, breathing, the heartbeat, the flow of time itself. But more often, death is not like this. More often, the body becomes tired gradually. In chronic, long-term illnesses, this process can last weeks, sometimes even months. The body slowly loses its strength, and its systems weaken one by one. This is not an abrupt ending, but a silent approach. Worldwide, the most common causes of death, heart disease, chronic lung diseases, and cancer, are often treatable today. These treatments can extend a person's life, but at the same time, they can also prolong the dying process. Death is delayed, yet during this time, the body has already begun to say farewell. This prolonged process is heavy on one hand, but on the other, it gives time to the person and to their loved ones. Time to say goodbye, to speak words left unsaid, to touch, or simply to sit in silence together. The changes the body shows, weakness, increased sleep, loss of appetite, quietly signal that death is approaching. Perhaps what matters most is not how long dying takes, but how we live during that time. Because death can be sudden or slow. But in both cases, it is a part of life, inevitable, yet a truth that forces us to reflect. Have you ever thought about what happens in our body before death? Most of us imagine death as a single moment, one breath, one stop, and everything ends. But in reality, death is often not just one moment. It is a process the body slowly prepares for. Especially in chronic illnesses or deaths from natural causes, the body goes through a series of changes before it finally stops. One of the first changes is fatigue. A person begins to sleep more and more. But this sleep is not for rest. It happens because the body's energy is fading. The heart can no longer deliver oxygen-rich blood throughout the body as efficiently as before. As oxygen levels decrease, the cells lose their strength. Staying awake, moving, or even speaking for a long time becomes difficult. At this stage, resting is not an escape, it is a necessity. Over time, appetite decreases. The body no longer needs food the way it once did. The digestive system slows down and struggles to process meals. This can be difficult for loved ones because we associate food with love and care. But at this stage, forcing the body to eat can sometimes be more of a burden than a benefit. Gradually, control over bodily functions weakens. As digestion slows, constipation becomes common, and bladder control may decrease. These changes are not a matter of will. They happen because the body is no longer functioning as it once did. Muscles weaken and weight is lost. Changing position in bed, lifting the head, or saying a few words can be exhausting. The skin becomes thinner and more sensitive. At this stage, even a simple touch can bring great comfort. Slowly, the person begins to withdraw from the outside world. Activities they once enjoyed may no longer interest them, and they may prefer to be alone. This does not mean they love their loved ones any less. It simply means their attention is turning inward. Sometimes, this silence becomes a form of farewell. Body temperature drops, and breathing, pulse, and blood pressure become irregular. In the final hours, breathing slows. At times, sudden restlessness or brief bursts of energy may appear. The brain may begin to process reality differently. People may see things that are not there or hear voices. Eventually, consciousness moves between sleep and unconsciousness. Yet interestingly, touch and hearing are often the last senses to fade. This means that even if a person cannot respond, they may still hear your voice and feel your touch. The path toward death is not always a frightening darkness. Sometimes, it is a quiet road, one the body closes gently in its own rhythm. And now we arrive at the crucial moment, the moment of death itself. The body has completed all its preparations. Slowly, everything begins to shut down. The heartbeat gradually weakens, breathing becomes irregular, and pauses begin to appear. In these moments, the body marshals its last reserves to protect itself, but they are no longer enough. Changes also occur in brain activity. Studies show that sometimes the brain continues to function for a few minutes. But this is no longer consciousness. It is merely the body's final processes. The person no longer perceives everything, while the body gradually ceases its own rhythm. Breaths lengthen, and sometimes a death rattle forms in the throat, a sign of the body's complete release. Muscles relax one by one, and the body yields to its weight. This stage is both calm and heavy. And finally, the last breath is taken. The heart stops, breathing ceases, and brain activity ends. The body can no longer sustain the process we call living. Yet in this moment, silence and stillness prevail. The body halts, but questions about the soul often arise. Some people speak of light, of journeys, of encounters with loved ones. The moment of death is both an ending and a transition. The body's work is done, but a new, unknown phase begins. This moment is at once frightening and contemplative, serene and filled with an eternal quiet. And now we reach the final stage. Death has already occurred. The body has stopped. And the question changes. What happens to the body after death? And is dying a painful process? Immediately after death, the body completely relaxes. Muscles release. Years of tension, pain, and fatigue seem to melt away in an instant. This is why urination or bowel release may occur. This is not frightening or unusual. It is simply the body's final physical reaction. After a while, the body temperature begins to drop. No system is producing heat anymore. Blood settles in the lower parts of the body due to gravity, causing purple-red discoloration of the skin. The heart has stopped beating, so circulation ceases. A few hours later, the body begins to stiffen, a phenomenon known as rigor mortis. It starts in the face and neck, and then spreads throughout the body. This is not permanent. A few days later, as tissues break down, the body becomes soft again. The body is no longer within time. It simply transforms into matter. And now we come to one of the most common questions. Is dying painful? There is no single answer. In some cases, death is sudden. A person leaves life without feeling pain. In other cases, there may be discomfort. But an interesting and often overlooked fact is that the brain and body activate mechanisms to reduce pain as death approaches. Endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, may be released in higher amounts. As consciousness gradually fades, the person no longer perceives pain as before. Especially in medical or hospice care, discomfort is minimized. When the body ceases its struggle to live, pain often silently fades with it. Perhaps death itself is not frightening. Perhaps what is frightening is living without contemplating it. The body stops, but questions remain. Is this an end or the silent threshold of a new beginning? If this video made you reflect, support our future research by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. After all, asking questions, learning, and exploring life's mysteries is the greatest reward. See you in the next video, as we once again venture together to uncover the unknown.